Hey everybody, I've got such a cool video for you because Larry has returned with yet another hidden Japanese gem. Larry, what are we looking at?
This is the Russian nesting doll to the Pajero Mini. It's a Pajero Jr. and it's slightly bigger than the Pajero Mini was. And so this car actually comes with a naturally aspirated 1.1 liter engine that puts out about 80 horsepower. But it's essentially very similar to the Pajero Mini, but it's slightly bigger, it's slightly longer and slightly wider. And then it's actually much more like a real car. It has airbags, crash protection. It's considered a regular car in Japan.
So last time we did an episode, you had this little itty bitty Mitsubishi, which was called the Pajero Mini.
Yeah.
And it's like a little pint-sized thing called a K car with a tiny little 600cc engine, and it's like a micro car. And then of course you've got like the full-size Pajero. Well, the Junior kind of fits between the Mini and the full-size. And size-wise, it's about 2 inches longer than like what we'd call the Suzuki Samurai. But it's still like 20 inches shorter than the Jeep Renegade. So it's a little bigger than a tiny car, but it still is pretty small.
Yeah. It's you know, Japan, it's a perfect size. And it was actually popular in the export market as well, even though they never made it for the export market.
Interesting.
But it was very popular in places like Malaysia or Indonesia and you know, Azerbaijan and places like that because it's good on gas and it's a pretty capable four-wheel drive vehicle. It's actually supposed to be more capable than the Pajero Mini.
So let's talk a little bit about how you bought this. Was this a vehicle you imported from Japan?
It is, and this one I actually went through the B Forward auction site.
Okay.
And I bought it on a whim. I didn't even know it was a stick. I thought I was getting an automatic. so actually the sticks are rare, and so it's a 5-speed, which actually I like. But yeah, I bought it on B Forward. I think it went for about just under $2,000, but you know,
wow,
by the time you get it in here and everything, I'm always like 6 or 7K into it.
It's a lot of car for under 2K though. I mean,
it is.
It's very, very clean. The paint is pretty good. It doesn't seem to have any rust on it.
No.
And are these a little bit more rare than like the K cars and the Pajero Minis?
Yeah, they pumped out the Pajero Minis. They were super popular, but these weren't nearly as popular. I think they made under 100,000 of them
really?
in 4 years or 5 years or however long they sold them. Yeah, I think they stopped in '98 to make a export version of the car, which was the Pajero IO or something.
Yeah.
So
the K car we looked at had this little teeny weeny turbocharged engine. What does the Junior have?
So this is a 1.1 liter 16 valve, and it's a 4-banger, putting out a whopping 80 horsepower. But it supposedly gets great mileage. I can't remember, was it 47 or 41? I can't remember.
Yeah, that's what the internet was saying.
Yeah, I highly doubt that because it's got the Pajero Mini gas tank, which is all about 8 gallons. So, you know, if it does put out the 47, then you'll have a decent range.
What's nice about this though is it looks fairly conventional to like even a Westerner, right? So it's an inline 4-cylinder. It looks pretty serviceable. You can pretty much get to everything fairly simply, and there's not too much that looks all that foreign, and you got a lot of space.
A lot of space here, I know.
That's cool. So Larry, coming down here from Denver, right, the speed limit is 65, 70. Were you able to go the speed limit?
Oh yeah, no problem. Maybe even accidentally a little over. You know, on 36, everybody drives over the speed limit.
Everyone's doing 80.
Yeah, and honestly, I had no issue keeping up with anybody.
That's cool.
On it. So it was, that's the other thing I like about it. When compared to the Mini, this feels much more like a real car. It's quieter, it feels more solid, and it's a whole lot faster. It has a lot more torque.
What I like about it as well too is, Case, if you can kind of get a shot directly from the front, like it's pretty wide.
Yeah.
So you got these fender flares, and it's got a fairly wide track.
Yeah. I think it's about 10 inches wider, 30 centimeters or something wider than the Mini was. So you can put a much bigger tire on it. These are 15s, but you could probably get something quite a bit bigger.
Yeah, it's got little 15-inch wheels. Now let's show them the inside here. First of all, do you know what ZR2 stands for?
Yeah, the ZR2 is actually a class or
like a trim?
A trim, thank you.
Yeah.
A trim level. Although I think most are ZR2s, and that just means you've got airbags and anti-lock brakes, which this does have. It has a little better interior, air conditioning, electric windows. And those kinds of things on it.
This is like, the door is seriously almost as long as the entire like wheelbase of the car.
It is.
It's a huge door, but look how nice it's held up in here. So we've got these really 90s style seats, this kind of cloth material, which looks like it's brand new. Manually adjustable seats, a very plasticky interior, but pretty rugged.
Yeah. And the interior essentially is identical to the Mini, but it's been upgraded slightly, a little better materials.
Interesting, okay.
So.
And this one's a 5-speed manual. You said most of them are automatics?
Yeah, most of them I believe are 3 or 4 speed automatic. So that was actually kind of lucky that I bought it by accident. I bought it by chance. I bid on it the last second. I think it was like 4 in the morning. You know, I'd woken up and I was like, oh, I'll go bid on it. The one big issue I have with the car is it says here high octane, which is high octane gasoline.
Oh, is that what that means?
Yeah. So, and the guy who owned it clearly liked putting Shell gasoline in it. He has like Shell stickers all over it.
Really big into the Shell world.
Yeah. So I don't know what that means, but so I put high octane, but I'll have to check because Japan uses a different rating system there, ISO or ASA. So
what's this little red dot on the steering wheel?
Okay, so that's kind of interesting. That's the airbag light. I thought it was the because it's an early airbag, and so that'll turn off eventually because you don't get an airbag sticker.
So they
or
give
a
you,
light. Yeah.
They give you a light on the actual airbag.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
So,
All right, let's check out the trunk. Let's see what that looks like.
Oh, it's huge.
Well, probably relative, right?
So and that's I think another VR2 is the extra full-size wheel and
oh, that's nice.
And wiper in the back. But it's essentially the same as the Pajero Mini in that it's got about the same space, although I filled mine up.
Look at that! It's got a little bit of storage in it.
Yeah, and I found a way to fill it. And then here it keeps the jack and everything here.
Wow.
So,
this is in beautiful shape, Larry. Now, when you're
is.
buying cars at auction, are they typically all in this kind of shape?
No, you get a lot of surprises. This one actually hasn't given me any surprises so far, so I've been very lucky. It's a lot better condition than I expected. These tend to go for, you know, like usually they're like in the $4,000 or $5,000 range, but they usually have lower miles. Like sometimes they're like 30 or 40,000 miles. This one has 85.
Is that considered high?
In Japan, it is.
Is it really?
Usually they sell them when they get like over 100 or over like 100,000 kilometers, which is like 60,000 miles.
Wow, look how clean it is underneath there.
But yeah, the underneath was really clean.
Solid rear axle, independent front suspension, and there's actually real skid plates on this little guy. So
yeah,
real bash plates. And then I just love the color, the kind of maroon on the champagne.
Yeah, in the sun it gets a little more pinkish. So, you know, I thought it was actually pinker.
It's iconic.
And a pink is actually a kind of a special color in Japan for men.
Oh, is it really?
So it's like a hot pink, but it's a little dark. I used to hate it, but now I like it. I'm like, I gotta get one of those now.
So you got a sticker that says, battling the refreshing morning light. Yes, Yamasemi,
I think it says.
We're trying to figure out if that's either a bird reserve or sake.
Yeah, we're not sure which one.
One of the two. What's this little guy? Does this pull out? Oh, cup holders.
Oh yeah. You get the standard cup holder.
And then you got just very, very basic controls for your heat and AC.
Yep.
You got your hazards, and you got a little bit of a cubby here, glove box. That thing's nice. So. All right, well, let's take it for a spin, Larry.
Yeah, you got to drive it.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So, Larry, first thing I noticed is the engine's running, but it's so quiet and so smooth. I mean, you can almost not hear it at all until you rev it up.
In fact, I forgot that it was even in gear, and I stalled it out like the first time I was driving it because it was so quiet.
Now,
want me to turn the air conditioner?
Yeah, you want to turn the AC on?
Yeah, it does lose a bit of power.
Does it work pretty well though?
It does. Yeah,
nice.
I was actually happy about that, especially when it was like 100 degrees.
Now, kind of a cool thing about this car, if I go down one speed. Kind of a cool thing about this is it's small enough where like you still feel pretty confident driving on the wrong side, but it's not so tiny where you're like that, like we were in the Mini, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it runs so well. I can tell you immediately that the suspension is a lot smoother than like a Samurai.
Absolutely, yeah, and smoother than the Pajero Mini as well.
You think so? Yeah.
Yeah, the Pajero Mini made noise when you went over stuff. It was like clanky and stuff. So this has a lot more sound deadening on it. And then I think because it's got a wider stance and the suspension is more substantial, it just drives and feels a lot better.
Okay, yeah. So. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it doesn't feel like first turn, it doesn't feel like it's gonna fall over.
No, No, not at all. And so, you know, the Pajero Mini, we took it up over Independence Pass. We took it, I sold it to a guy in Leadville.
Oh, nice.
And then we took it four-wheeling up there at 12,000 feet, and it did fantastic. But I think this will do even better. I think. It's supposed to be better four-wheeler, so we'll see.
Oh, it's not so slow?
No, it's not. I mean, it has more torque.
Yeah.
So, probably the horsepower is very similar right now because 80 at sea level here is what, 65 maybe?
Yeah, sure. But I can tell you right now, like, so we had an 87 Samurai, and this feels way quicker than that.
Yeah. The motor is a newer motor as well.
What year is this?
This is a 96, I think.
Okay.
Could be 97. I can't remember.
Something like that, though. Late 90s.
I'm trying to think, wait, what cars did I bring in recently?
No.
One of them was a 97. I can't remember which one.
Is this another case where the gearing is really short?
Fifth is higher than the Mini.
Okay.
So when you're in fifth, it's better. And it's got a 7,000 RPM limit on it.
So it's not quite as high as the
No,
K-Cars,
the other one was 85, I believe.
Now, maybe it's not quite as exciting to drive as like a Mini.
No, it's not. It's not.
But it feels so much more like a real car.
It does. And so that was the one thing, the Pajero Mini had that like turbo boost, so it felt really fun.
Mm-hmm.
It made you feel faster. But you know, this one, if you're going to commute and use it every day.
I would say that this drives a lot better than even like a Wrangler from the 90s. Like,
Yeah,
it's just so much tighter.
It is.
I can't get over how compliant the suspension is. So why do the Japanese, like, there's a lot of Japanese symbols and characters on my right here, but like there's a lot of stuff that's in English, like off, right?
Right. You know, they're used to it, and then it used to be a really kind of a fashionable and popular thing to have all of your all of your devices with English labeling. It kind of made it international. Yeah. So all of the Walkman, all of the stereos, even like a lot of the washing machines and rice cookers, they all have like a lot of the buttons and stuff are labeled in English to make it seem more international.
Wow.
So
in Japan they'll be labeled in English.
Yeah, but you know, then like the most important thing will be in Japanese. So you're like, oh crap, I can't understand that. So, but it's really common to do that, to have it in English.
Oh yeah, it revs out quite nicely.
It does. Yeah, I was I had to pass a car, doing a little over 65, and it was no issue at all. I was like, oh, this thing actually, when you rev it, the torque curve is, I think it tops out around 65-ish, so it's a little higher than I expected.
So you kind of got to rev it out to go to places.
Yeah. I was like, oh, it's got some beans up high.
So obviously here in the U.S. the used car market exploded, and now it's starting to come down a little bit. What has the used car market been like in Japan?
Japan was the same. It was insanity. Especially I had to buy a car in the summer because I destroyed my Subaru.
Okay.
And so and I just had a nightmare finding the car I wanted. It was just, they were always gone, or the price was really high. But that's changed quickly as well. So, you know, right now some cars are expensive, some cars are cheap. You just don't know. It's like, it's just all over the place.
So you said there's a special edition of this thing called the Flying Pug or something?
Yes, yeah.
Are you going to be trying to find one of those?
I really am, but those aren't cheap. There's only a few hundred of them out there. They were supposed to be 1,000, but it was so ugly because it's like this weird old-fashioned retro design from like, it's kind of like a 40s looking thing, but it's pretty ugly. But it has leather interior and everything. If you know Mitsuoka, they make like the especially ugly cars. Mm-hmm. This is right in that league.
Is that one of the cars from Mitsubishi, or is that like a
this
third party?
was made by Mitsubishi, but it might have been a Mitsuoka design. I'm not sure about that. But it's definitely in the Mitsuoka family.
Yeah.
So, but recently they've been making some really beautiful cars. So I don't know if you've seen that one that's based on the Mazda MX-5, but it looks like a Corvette.
Oh, really?
Like a C2 Corvette.
It's pretty cool.
It's stunning.
Wow,
it's stunning. Yeah, they sold out immediately. So
nice. Sweet. Well, thank you, Larry. That was awesome.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Let's go take it to the
let's go take it off-road next.
Off-road. Yeah, that's the next one.
So Larry, first question. Do you like the Pajero Jr. or the Suzuki Samurai more? Which one are you more into?
I like the Pajero Jr. better.
Okay.
I think the engine is a little more powerful. It's a lot newer.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the looks better. So, but I think the Pajero, I think the Suzuki Samurai is probably a little more capable off-roader.
Yeah.
To be honest.
So what about Pajero Jr. versus Pajero Mini?
I thought I liked the Pajero Mini more, but I actually like the Pajero Jr. much more.
Really?
It's a much more substantial car. You feel like you're driving a regular car, and supposedly the gas mileage is just as good, maybe even a little better.
Interesting.
Than the Mini. So, yeah, I was surprised at how much I liked it. I kind of bought it on a whim. I was like, oh, we'll see if we like it. And I was like, man, I like it a lot. My wife likes it too.
Well, Larry, thanks for coming out again.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Guys, let us know what you think of the little Pajero Jr. As always, we'll see you on the next video.
Yeah. Oh, there's one more thing I like about this much more than the other one.
Yeah, what's that?
It doesn't smell like a sweaty sumo wrestler like the other one. The other one smelled like a sweaty, smoking sumo wrestler, and it took me days to clean those seats. This I had to do nothing.
That's awesome.
So that was a good one.